Welcome to the Recruiting Intel, brought to you by InsideTexas.com. I'm your host, Justin Wells. With me, Inside Texas college football recruiting writer Charlie Williams. Today, we got some good stuff today, Charlie. We're going to talk about the Under Armour camp in Houston. You and I were both there. Inside Texas was on hand Sunday. A lot of talent. I mean, when they call a kid Thanos, they do it for a reason. We saw some really good defensive ends, really good receiver play in DBs. But before we get started, let's please like and subscribe to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. We're climbing to 7,000. Help us get there, my man. Let's like and subscribe, and be sure and check out InsideTexas.com. We're running a March Madness sale right now, $1 for a month, and it really is a great time. Spring football just started. We just put up some great stuff on the Inside Texas YouTube channel, so be sure and check that out with Joe Cook and Eric Nalin. But, Coach, let's get started, okay? We saw some of the best in the country. And that includes the number one prospect in the nation out of St. Augustine, down in Reserve, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Jahkeem Stewart, who is a legit 6'6", 275, 280. I mean, just looks fantastic.
Right.
You know, you saw some of the video clips earlier from that earlier session. And I talked to him afterwards. What was your just quick impressions?
Oh, man, just freaking nature, man. He's one of those guys you just say, wow, like he's just a man amongst boys out there. He's quicker than everybody, stronger than everybody, bigger than everybody. Like he's just, and it's natural. You can tell. Like I can tell this kid works hard, but he has just natural ability, at that size and can really, really move. He's one of those guys we're going to be talking about. I'm going to be in the green room on draft day in 3 or 4 years, man.
That's exactly what. So, and it's funny because, I spotted a former NFL player there Sunday, and I kept looking at him like, man, I recognize that guy. And it came to me. I was like, that's Brandon Jacobs. Right. That's the running back from the New York Giants. Mm-hmm. And Jahkeem was as big as that dude. Now, granted, Jacobs was a running back, so I can't imagine what hell it would have been to try to tackle that guy. But Jahkeem just looks like a slim big monster that would play on the defensive interior. He looks like what every SEC defensive lineman that goes in the top first 5 of the NFL draft. I mean, he was big. The biggest takeaway there, too, is Texas is in the mix. A lot of people have already, they've already given up. They thought it's going to be an LSU thing, but Jahkeem made it clear that that's not the school yet. He's got a lot of schools in the mix, and Texas is going to get a visit, and they're going to be into it. And so I think that was a big thing. But yeah, any guy that's named Thanos, sometimes they get a little overhyped. Yeah. But I think he lived up to it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Our next guy we're going to talk about might have had the best camp performance of everyone. Mm-hmm. Not to mention he's committed to Texas. And that's Lance Jackson, the edge out of Texarkana, Pleasant Grove, the number 48 overall prospect, the 2025 rankings. Listen, Texas, they were on this kid since 8th grade for a reason. Now, I'll be honest with you. I did not expect him to be 6'6", 262 pounds. But after drills and after one-on-one work, what was your impression in the clips that we saw from Lance?
He's another big guy who's very, very fluid for his size. Like, he can move. He's one of those guys that he's big enough to play interior, but he can play on the edge as well. Like, he has that athletic ability. Like, he's good with using his hands. You see him get through the bag drills, picking his feet up, not even looking down. Most guys are trying to look down and see where they're going, not this kid. So this kid just has all the tools to be, like, special at the next level.
Yeah, and you see the growth in him. A lot of people don't know, he's a multi-sport guy. He was a great basketball player. His dad, I believe, played basketball at Texas A&M. Mom played volleyball. So he's from an athletic family. Obviously, Landon Jackson, his older brother's starting defensive end for Arkansas. He throws 95 on the mound, Charlie. And that's significant and when he does that. But the biggest thing for me, I think, for Lance was there's only one visit. There's a lot of schools that are still trying to get into the mix, still trying to talk to him a little bit, mainly Texas A&M. I believe Arkansas is as well. But he's only going to take one official visit, and that's to Austin. Right now, it looks like it's going to be June 21st to the 23rd. That could change, but like he told us and we reported before, he's only going to take one. And I, On three gave him the MVP from that camp, and for good reason, because I mean, Eric had our guy at Inside Texas, Eric Nalin, had a really good write-up. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen a defensive end, edge type with this much upside. Right. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and Jackson's a guy that he can do a lot of things. He's going to play tight end. He plays tight end in high school. He's just a dude, and he moves. If he's 262, he moves like he's 210. And so I think that was the biggest thing with Lance Jackson. Next up, we're going to talk about a little bit of the pass catchers because there were two in particular that I thought that really stood out. And
Hmm.
the first one was Andrew Marsh. That's the 6'1", 180-pounder out of Katy, Jordan. What was your impressions of Andrew Marsh? Because I think you and I are going to be very similar in our regard.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about Marsh, and same thing I noticed on film, like he will go up and grab the ball and get the ball with his hands. Like he has a big catch radius. First of all, he's
Yeah.
going to jump out the gym to go catch the ball, but he has these big, strong hands, man, to bring the ball down, right? And he catches the ball, doesn't let him get to inside to his body. He catches away from his body, right? And he has these strong hands. You can't knock it out. Some guys were kind of close in coverage in this past, Sunday, but he was just able to snag the ball and keep moving. Like that guy is just. He's the guy you look for on third down. Like he's going to be a reliable target at the next level. He's going to get open. He's going to make every grab. You can throw it up in the red zone to him. He's going to come down with it. He just
Yeah.
has that special ability.
He's so strong, and that's what we've been writing about him. I'm glad that we saw it again firsthand because he's aggressive. He attacks the football, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's no waiting for it to come to you. He goes and gets it, and that's a quarterback's best friend. I mean, that's how you make friends early and often in your offense. From his recruiting standpoint, he's going to be in Texas for an official visit in June. He's also going to see LSU. He's also wanting to see Michigan. Texas A&M is trying to get a visit. Oklahoma's likely going to get a visit as well. Texas likes where they stand with Marsh right now. I think it's going to come down to OU and A&M. I think it's going to be an in-state battle. But Marsh did not disappoint. He did this at a camp last summer. And it was like, okay, he's coming up, and then we seen him a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and a little bit more mature.
Right.
And Marsh was so much fun. I know you got to talk to him. He had a lot of fun, and I thought he was impressive. Now, before we get to the other receiver, we're going to talk about our man Andre the lawyer. Anytime you get in trouble, and I'm talking about workplace accidents, a slip and fall, injuries, 18-wheeler accidents. Anytime you get stuck, Andre the lawyer you need help, that's the guy to call. 214-444-8808. Andre the lawyer is a longtime Inside Texas guy. He helps all Longhorns. He'll help anybody. He don't care where you went to school. If you get stuck, you get in trouble, you need to call Andre. Andre the lawyer at 214-444-8808. Now, we're going to slide to this other receiver who may not have the aggressive tendencies that Marsh has, but this dude was silky smooth.
Yeah.
Every move was precise.
Mhm.
Every move was body control, hands, all of it. And that is Saxy wide receiver Kaliq Lockett. What do you think, Coach?
Yeah, I love this kid. I call him Big Smooth because that's just who he is.
I like that.
Like he's just gliding when he runs. Like he's just separating. He has these long strides, and he can go up and get the ball as well. He uses his body very well to position himself to box out the corner, even if he's close to him, right? So he has position enough room to catch the ball. Talking to him a little bit, he said he's going to be the the best receiver come out of Saxon. And that's big because we know Devin Duvernay came from Saxon, was a great Texas Longhorn. So. One thing that stood out about him after the camp, he said, I cannot wait to get back home to Dallas and start training again. I want to get better and better. And that speaks to who he is. He's continued to work on his game. If you look at his film, just from sophomore year all the way to where he is now, it's like I can see he's putting in the work, and that guy's going to be special at the next level as well.
Yeah, that's a great observation because, we met Kaliq as a freshman at one of the junior days 2 years ago. And it was so early, you didn't really know where he was going to be. If you look at where he was then to now, you see that work. You see that development. He's also a great kid. He has got a great head on his shoulders. He's what I'd call a SARC mental eval. That is a culture guy for your locker room through and through. From a recruiting standpoint, I think it's Texas to lose, to be honest with you. I think Texas A&M's got a shot. Ohio State's going to get a visit. I know Michigan and LSU also want to get in the mix as well. But I think Oklahoma's faded a little bit. Florida's also tried to jump into it, but I honestly think it's going to come down to Texas and probably USC. I think right now those are the two official visits he has scheduled for June. I like where Texas stands with this guy, and I like where On3 has him ranked, the number 12 overall prospect. At first, I thought that was a little generous, and then after Sunday, I can see it. I buy it. I see it. If they've got DeCorian Moore 1, they got Kaliq Lockett 2. Hey, Texas loves both of those guys, so I can buy it. On the 2026 side, we got to see a guy that picked up an offer. I believe it was in late January, and he's an interesting athlete. I'm going to let you get into a little bit of depth on him. We're talking about Keisean Henderson. He's out of Houston Sports Sciences and Legacy Sport of Science. I can't even say it. The legacy school, yeah, of all that good stuff. Him and Mike Brown, another teammate, were there getting on work. But Texas has been in the mix for Henderson for a while since they saw him since he did really well at the not Under Armour, the Army All American Combine right
Right.
before the Army Bowl. And so, what was your impressions of Keisean? He played quarterback,
Right.
and that's the position he wants to play if he can in college. But Texas is recruiting him a little differently.
Right.
Would you hear?
Yeah, so Sean, man, you can see that he's an athlete just looking at his stature and how he's tall. But one thing about him, man, he said he wanted to play quarterback next level, but he's open to playing other positions. So that stood out to me that he's open, he's flexible. I saw a little bit of leadership from him at the camp, getting guys lined up, getting on receivers, like, hey, run the route. I'm expecting you to be here. Like, you don't even know these guys, but he's out there demanding and taking control at a camp with all these other top guys. That really stood out to me, right? Because that's another culture, a guy you want to put in your culture at Texas is, hey, somebody has leadership qualities, let's go, right? And so,
Right.
even though we didn't get to see him running the routes or anything because he was throwing, I thought he looked good throwing the football, right? But like you said, Texas is
I
kind
did
of
too.
recruiting a little bit different. I think this guy can play multiple spots on a football team and produce.
The fact that Chris Jackson's involved in the recruitment tells us he's a potential at wide receiver, and the fact that AJ Milwee wants to come by and see him again. He's already seen him once
Yeah.
on his way to go see Arch Manning last year or 2 years ago, and so on. He wants to see him again, and so I think that's pretty significant when it comes to Keisean. Talk a little bit about Mike Brown, or you know what? We'll come back to Brown. We got another corner. We got a DB. We got to talk about. We got to give this guy some love, okay? I've been reading about him for about a year. I've gotten to know him for the last year. I got a buddy that coaches over at Temple. This kid is a legit 6'2" corner on the outside, junior to be Jason Bradford.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned him in our group text earlier. What were your thoughts on Mr. Bradford? Because I think this kid is a Texas offer waiting to happen.
Yeah, so I kind of been knowing Jason, nephew, former Longhorn Davion Curtis, is actually a coach at Temple. Kind of told me about this kid, and I was like, I'm gonna check him out. And I got a chance to see him in Houston this past Sunday. I was like, yo, for a big corner, he can move. He's fluid. He has fluid hips. He can get in and out of his breaking on the ball. I saw him do that quite a few times on Sunday. And for a big guy, all these big receivers now out there on the edge, this guy can match it with all the big guys, and he's quick and has more fluid enough hips to even cover slot guys. So I like what I saw out of him, and I was glad I got a chance to see him up close and personal to see how a big guy can move out there on the island.
That was the thing for me too with Bradford is everything I'd seen was on tape. I'd never seen him in person before, and I'd hit him up afterwards. I was upset that I didn't talk to him a lot at the camp, but I hit him up on my way home. I'm like, dude, you looked incredible. Like, this is a legit 6'2", maybe even taller. Like,
Right.
he's got a early Ryan Watts look to him. He really does, and I think Bradford's going to do a lot of good things. I like knowing that Davion is coaching at Temple.
Yeah,
We've got some good guys that are working for the Wildcats up there in Temple. So one more thing, we got to talk about a guy that you've been talking about, this guy, and I watched a little bit of his tape, and I'm thinking, Coach Dub he may know what he's talking about. Introduce everyone to Keisean Henderson's teammate, Mike Brown.
Yeah, Mike Brown's a 2026 receiver. This guy, he's going to be the next guy everybody's talking about in the next class. Crisp routes, he can run every route there is to run. Saw him out there Sunday. He's making guys fall down, losing them, running routes, working the blind spot. I mean, he has it all. A guy we mentioned before on here before, he trains with Deshae Milburn out of Southeast, in Houston, and you can tell he's putting in the work. He's another guy that we're going to be talking about. Has, I want to say, 25 offers so far. A guy we offered at UNLV as his first offer when he came to visit us in last summer, and I was like, he's a baller. So a kid I've been knowing for a while, and just seeing his work ethic and the work he's putting in, he's going to be like the next guy we're talking about next year.
Yeah, I loved, everyone knows the big names. We went over Jahkeem Stewart, Lance Jackson, Andrew Marsh, Kaliq Lockett. Listen, Kelshawn Johnson had a great camp. The little dynamic wide receiver out of Hitchcock, he was quick, he was fast, he was good. But man, Mike Brown and Jason Bradford really showed us something. I'll give you one more guy, Kosi Okpala out of Cy Ridge. That guy, that's what a young linebacker's supposed to look like. And he'll be at Texas in late March to catch a spring practice. Thank you so much for watching us today on this quick recruiting intel updated at InsideTexas.com. Be sure and check out all the good stuff that we're delivering at Inside Texas. The new spring practice reports are up. Joe Cook and Eric Nalin nailed that. Will Gallagher's got photos up inside in the forum. Listen, it's a great time to be a part of InsideTexas.com. Be sure and check it out. Like and subscribe to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. And once again, thank you for joining us and making us a part of your day at InsideTexas.com on the Inside Texas YouTube channel.